Encountering someone with a dark triad personality is kind of like unexpectedly stepping into a snake pit and you see the snakes slithering around, and though the tiny rainbows of colors that dance across their smooth scales in reflection to the sunlight as they slither about can be quite magnificent, but if you get too close, these sleek creatures will not hesitate to lash out and strike, sinking their fangs deep into your skin and injecting into you their poisonous venom, just as it is to interact with someone of a dark triad personality. At first glance, their malevolence is cloaked by their impeccable ability to mimic what some would refer to as having a charisma or the it factor. And it's behind closed doors that in time one begins to pick up on the ways to which they manipulate and exploit others for their own gain, and that the only it factor they possess is that of the horrific demonic clown, Pennywise. The term Dark Triad consists of a witch's brew of three different but interrelated negative personality types: Narcissism, Machiavellianism, and Psychopathy, with recent studies showing that in many cases having a fourth, to which is sadism. And now, while all four of these personality types consist of individuals who demonstrate insidious cruelty in their treatment to others, two has its own qualifying traits and distinct characteristics. Narcissism, mostly known for their delusional belief of being more superior and powerful than all others, having an outlandish sense of entitlement, as well as tend to be overly concerned with their self-image. All the while, underneath this fantastical illusion of grandiosity lies a deep-seated sense of inadequacy and extreme insecurities. Individuals with Machiavellianism are highly manipulative and are willing to stoop to the lowest levels of low in efforts to deceive others to get what they want, and oftentimes have a very cynical view of the world, where the key markers of psychopathy include lacking any kind of remorse, have an extremely callous nature, are impulsive, and often prone to taking big risks, while sadism is mostly recognized by an individual who gets pleasure from inflicting pain upon others. And central to all of these personality types is a total disregard for others' feelings, having an obsession with oneself, as well as lacking in compassion, empathy, and having absolutely no moral compass. Individuals with a dark triad personality have an insatiable willingness to exploit anyone in order to get what they want when they want it, as they experience no remorse from the intentional harm and detriment that they unnecessarily bring about to others' lives. Unfortunately, spotting one of these individuals or recognizing that you are in fact dealing with one is quite challenging, to say the least, because of the way they come across as charismatic and charming. These masters of flattery have a tendency of making others feel fortunate to be in the presence of a person with such elevated taste, intelligence, and compassion. The constellation of these traits empowers these individuals to use deception and manipulation to mask their malicious true nature. However, there are some telltale signs that will eventually make their way to the surface and can be seen after interacting with what inevitably becomes pure evil in human form. These characteristics include a lack of empathy, habitually lie, deceive, and manipulate others to doing what they want or behaving in ways to which they desire them to behave, have a disposition of extreme self-centeredness. They are impulsive with a lack of concern having consequences for their behaviors and actions. They will exploit and bully anyone and everyone for their own benefit or to promote themselves for success. Two are very much known for being promiscuous, unfaithful, and having an amoral nature. As such, it is likely no shocker that these individuals have an inability to sustain or maintain any sort of long-term relationship, and common for them to have a string of unsuccessful relationships where they have either cut off or been cut off by those you'd consider to be significant people in one's life, accompanied by having a long-standing history to which they portray themselves as being the victims of these relationships, as well as in life in general. They will openly express their disappointment and unsatisfaction in others for not achieving their unrealistic expectations. But despite never being satisfied, they continually remain in search of fulfillment in ways to which always comes at the expense of others, and in turn leaving one to feel depleted emotionally, physically, spiritually, as well as in many times financially. As there is no question about it, they will milk you for everything that you've got down to the last drop in means for their personal advantage or gain. Because these individuals are hardwired to exploit and will proceed to do so regardless of how much you do for them, how loyal you are, or how much of a death grip you hold on to the hope that they somehow will change for the better. Because, well, that ain't gonna happen, nor do they have any desire for it to. They do not see one measly issue in having a total absence of any sort of humility, integrity, sincerity, or faithfulness. And as far as fairness towards others is concerned, well, that is about 1,000,000 miles away, buried 6 feet under and backfilled over with concrete, because they do not give two shits about fairness or what's just. Furthermore, will intentionally lie, cheat, and steal, whether the risk to their getting caught is high or highly unlikely, because in their mind's eye view, moral standards are for the birds, and rules, laws, or even common courtesy do not apply where they're entitled superior to all ass is concerned. With recent studies showing that they have a complete lack in effective empathy, which is the ability to share in others' emotions and put yourselves in someone else's shoes and feel what they feel, but had a unimpaired cognitive empathy, which is the ability to have an appropriate emotional response to someone else's emotions, and why they are able to pull off appearing normal or like they have genuine concern when they're trying to lure others in to their web of chaos. But even more creepishly evil is that these studies revealed that they expressed and felt positively while looking at pictures of people that appeared to be sad, fearful, or angry, and negatively when shown images of people that appeared happy and were smiling, concluding in their confirmation that these individuals, in fact, are insensitive to others' feelings while retaining the ability to assess others' emotions, allowing them to strategically manipulate while completely ignoring the harm to which they inflict. And what makes this even more alarming and, well, dangerous as fuck is due to the comorbidity rate within the cluster B personality types, to which each of these personality types make up that of the Dark Triad, being more than just quite impressive in that at any point an individual can acquire different traits due to situational, circumstantial, or environmental changes that can be triggered off by actual or perceived threats. Therefore, in theory, based off of the data, anyone who meets the criteria of any of the cluster B personality types is a potential candidate to acquiring the traits of the Dark Triad, literally going from a disordered personality to that of legitimate pure evil. And the most disturbing part of it all is that this Dark Triad personality, these individuals of pure evil in human form, these creatures that think and behave so completely ass backwards to that of a standard human being, it is as if they are literally possessed by demons or from some other planet, completely are reinforced, enabled, and nurtured within our society, are found commonly amongst our leaders across the globe, from CEOs to team captains to our heads of state, as their eluded sense of confidence comes off as swagger, their menacing drive mistaken for passion, making their way to the top, for they're having the metaphorical killer instinct in that they will do whatever it takes to get the job done. And that is what our companies and our governments want. Someone who will do whatever it takes to get them to the top. And as long as they do, as long as they are winning, well then, it doesn't matter how manipulative, deceitful, or exploitive they are. But you see, here's the thing. All the while, they are being coddled with this, who gives a fuck if we just throw the rulebook right on out the window, shit all over the lives of civilians or our competitors. As long as we rise to the challenge and are still winning, they are not only hand-feeding these creatures of pure evil, making them more cocky, hungry, greedy, not to mention extremely dangerous. What they fail to see, unfortunately, at some point, when the wind just as much as shifts direction ever so slightly, like it inevitably will, there ain't going to be nothing metaphorical about this killer instinct, as they are not going to think twice about biting the hand right right off of the one who's been feeding them, turn around, suck the life right out of their being, and then giddy up and move right along to the next. And that you can not only anticipate, but you can guarantee, because they not only cut your throat and watch you bleed, but they will enjoy every moment of your bleeding out. Not to mention, it is damn near impossible to ever have a proper system in place for the victims of this heinous abuse if it is in fact these very monsters on top calling all the shots, as that would be like whistleblowing on themselves, and well, ain't no way in hell that's ever going to happen. And one of the biggest reasons why it is so important to educate and get information out there to the general public about the true nature of these slithering snakes, because a burden heavy to one is borne lightly by many. And they may be able to silence our voices one at a time, but they don't stand a chance at hushing the roar of a crowd collectively. And well, knowing truly is half the battle. So share your stories, as they provide the most valuable education and information to others. Anyone who has even an inkling of suspicion that they could possibly be dealing with one of these individuals, the best thing you can do is to remove yourself from the situation entirely, as they have zero disregard for others, which makes them dangerous as fuck. No one is worth losing your life and your soul for, especially not to these creatures of true wickedness. Focus on you. Fuck the narcissist.